Thank you. 3 true stories, 3 descents into hell. Good evening. What you're about to see in this video may be the most shocking thing you'll see this month. Actually, it's simple. In this video, we've isolated the 3 creepiest, most terrifying cases we've covered this month. To create one of this quarter's biggest videos for you, good evening. So, are you ready? If that's the case, comment any emoji in the comments, at least I'll see who's alert. You'll see that each story has its own mechanics. We work to ensure diversity in all the cases we covered. There are some things that are a bit depressing, some things that are terrifying, some things that are really traumatizing. There's really a bit of everything. Anyway, make yourself comfortable. Lights off, grab some popcorn or a pizza. The most important thing is that you're comfortable to watch this huge video that lasts, I think, like... Here we go. Quick note, I know some of these stories may have already been published. As I said, we chose the biggest cases this month, so you may have already seen some of these stories. If that's the case, use the video's timecode system to skip to the next case. Anyway, enjoy the video and let's get started right away with the first case.
She thought she was safe at home until he broke in. A young girl is home alone, scantily dressed, in her ground floor apartment. It's an ordinary evening until a stranger knocks on her door, first softly, then more and more insistently. The man doesn't stop. He keeps knocking. He knocks and makes odd noises, sensing she's inside. Suddenly, she hears a sound at the window. An accomplice moves quietly, climbing the exterior walls, getting closer to her room. The 2 individuals seem coordinated, like a Machiavellian plan to break into her private space. The anxiety rises as the young woman realizes the seriousness of the situation. What will they do once they're inside? The fear is unbearable. At that moment, the unthinkable seems to be happening. People are literally breaking into her place while she's actually inside the apartment. How did she get out of it? What did the authorities do? And who were those 2 individuals? Were they armed? You're going to find out everything with Shoshana. Welcome to StoryCube.
I see that there are a man's legs in my room. So my father, he heard everything on the phone, and while he was listening to what was happening, he was calling the police. But I was scared by what had happened to me. I couldn't sleep in there at night anymore.
Hello everyone. Today on StoryCube, I'm welcoming Shoshana, who went through a traumatic experience. 2 individuals broke into her home while she was still there. You'll see, it's crazy. That immediately raises questions. Who were these people? What did they want? And how did she escape? How long has it been since you experienced these events?
It was around 1.5 years or 2 years ago.
1.5 years, 2 years. Yeah, you still remember it well, I think.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that really leaves a mark.
There's an important element in your story, and I think it's good to put it in context from the start. It's your apartment. Because factually, it's inside this apartment that people broke in. Could you describe this apartment for us a bit? What did it look like?
Actually, it was a small student apartment. It was linear, like there was my room, then a door, then the living room with the kitchen area and a door, and then the bathroom, so it was really linear. I was on the ground floor, so when I opened the door, I was right on the street, which was a dead end. Not many people passed by since it led to a waste disposal site. Some went to the dump, but overall, few people passed through.
So, not necessarily any witnesses?
No, not necessarily, no, honestly. There were rarely people there, really. There was a little shortcut that led to a tennis place, so there were a few people from time to time. But honestly, there wasn't much foot traffic.
When you say it opened onto the street, do you mean like, literally you open the door and there are people walking by?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes at home, I'd open the window and eat at the kitchen table, which was right against the window. So there were just people passing by, really. I was right next to them. When they walked by, we would usually laugh together. So actually, there were no bars, there was nothing, and there were no curtains either. So basically, I was right out on the street.
Yeah, where was that? If you don't mind me asking.
It was in the Paris suburbs in Charenton.
Okay, have you ever felt unsafe living on the ground floor there right by the street?
Honestly, no. My friends told me it was a bit, they honestly said I would never have lived there if I were you because, well, it was on the ground floor.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the neighborhood was lovely, just families, very beautiful, quiet and problem-free. But my friends mentioned ground floor. Honestly, it's risky. I admit that it didn't even cross my mind. I just thought at least I don't have to climb the stairs. Like when I have groceries, it's convenient, but I didn't see the dangerous side at all.
Have you heard similar stories around the neighborhood or area?
Not at all, never. Honestly, I thought it was a super safe neighborhood. My landlady was my neighbor. who lived next door. She had always lived there. And when it happened, I told her, and she was shocked. She told me, but never in our lives have we had anything like that here, you know.
Yeah. Damn, I can't wait to see how you managed, how it went. And by the way, I suggest we jump right into this topic, which is pretty crazy. What time was it when it happened?
It was about 9 p.m. in summer, so night was just beginning to fall and it wasn't fully dark yet.
Yeah, you could see a body and people walking by outside.
Exactly, and I had the windows open.
Yeah.
Because actually in this apartment, since the day I moved in, it smelled really strongly of paint. So I moved in December. And from December to, it was June or July, I think, until summer, I spent every day opening windows to get rid of the smell, but it never left. Even when I moved out, it was still there.
The situation you were in when it happened, what were you doing?
Actually, I was eating at my kitchen table, which is right in front of the window of my kitchen. I had two windows, one in my bedroom and one in my kitchen, so I was by the kitchen window. Having dinner, so next to my front door. I was at home in my pajamas and underwear with a blanket wrapped around my waist. That will be important later, so I just wanted to mention it. And that was it. It was just the beginning of the evening.
So you're at home in your pajamas, just relaxing, eating some?
It was likely pasta.
Butter pasta is great. Did you live alone?
Yeah, I lived alone, yeah.
And with your upstairs neighbor, you couldn't scream because she would hear you.
Actually, I had a neighbor upstairs. But during all the time I spent in that apartment, I never saw them, so I never heard or saw them. I know there were apartments upstairs, but I never saw the people who lived there.
So if someone breaks into your apartment, you're alone?
Yeah, but my brother lived next door, actually just 2 minutes away on foot. So if I shouted a little loud with a bit of force?
Yeah. Are there any surveillance cameras around the area or?
At the time, there weren't any.
Yeah.
Since then, they've put many of them right in front of my house.
Okay.
Well, in front of my old place, actually.
How does this event start? You're eating your buttered pasta. At 9 o'clock.
I was eating, and as I mentioned, it smelled like paint, so I took advantage of the warm weather. And I leave the windows open for a long time to really air out the place all day, because in winter I aired it out too. I moved in December when it was minus 10 degrees. It was impossible to air out the place all day. During the first week, I got really sick from the paint fumes and had to keep the windows open all week. It was so cold I got sick.
Yeah.
But now, I was taking advantage of the long days and the warm weather to really air things out. And so, as I was saying, my apartment was linear, so actually when I'm in the living room, I can see what's happening in my bedroom. I honestly didn't see an issue with opening my bedroom window, even if I was in the next room, because I had visibility. So I had opened the window in my bedroom, but not the one in my kitchen, and I was eating in the kitchen there, in the living room. And from there, someone knocked on my door and I wasn't expecting anyone. I'm really a big scaredy cat, so as soon as someone knocks at my place and I'm not expecting anyone, I start to get all stressed out. So I call my dad. It had already happened to me before.
You call your dad before opening the door?
Yes, I call my dad before opening the door, so there's a witness if something happens. You see, there's someone who knows what's going on.
Which is a good reflex.
Yeah, totally. So a few months before that, someone rang the doorbell when I wasn't expecting anyone, so I called my dad and opened the door. It turned out to be an Uber Eats driver at the wrong apartment, so nothing was wrong. My dad then said, if you're not expecting anyone, don't open the door. It makes sense, you know, but in the moment, I don't know, when the doorbell rings, it stresses me out. Also, people know I'm home because they can see my apartment.
Are you sure the Uber Eats guy wasn't there for something else?
No, it happened too long ago and involved a different age group. I'm sure they're unrelated.
Okay, yeah, that works.
I'm sure it's not related.
You hear a knock, call your dad, then what?
Yeah, I call my dad.
Does he answer?
He answers and I explain. I tell him someone is knocking and he says to look through the window to see who it is.
How long does this interaction last? When you call your father, you hear knocking.
It happens fast. There's knocking, I call, and he answers immediately. He tells me, and the knocking continues. Actually, the guy outside, he sees that I'm home. He can see into my living room, into my kitchen, so actually he knows I'm there. If I don't open the door, it's intentional. I'm purposely not opening it for him, so I feel a bit...
It's on purpose, you know?
Honestly, I kind of feel like it's as if I have a knife to my throat because I tell myself he knows I'm here, so I can't not open the door for him. Like, it's mean, you know? But at the same time, it's normal. If you don't know the person, you don't open the door. So I call my dad and everything. I explain to him. And actually, I see through the window in the reflection of the car that's parked in front of my house. the guy who's in front of my door, and it's like a little 15-year-old guy, all grumpy, who's just there knocking like that. So I tell my dad I'm gonna see what he wants, and I stay on the phone with my dad the whole time during the interaction.
What does your dad say?
I don't remember what he said. He probably told me, okay, go see. I don't really remember what he said. I open the door and run into this guy who's about 15, though I'm not sure of his exact age. And I ask him what he wants, you know? And he tells me it's for a delivery. It's still 9 in the evening. So I tell myself, okay, that's strange. He's running late, but it's possible. I get many packages, so I might receive one without notification. What?
Yeah.
I tell myself, okay, weird. So I ask him a delivery of what? I don't know if it's Amazon or Colissimo.
What does the person in front of you look like then?
But he's really small, he's a little guy, he's shorter than me, he's really skinny. He's, I don't know, about 15 years old.
Is he well-groomed, not well-groomed? What does he do for... Do you feel like he's...
But he was kind of in the middle, like not really well dressed, but not a total mess with torn clothes either, just kind of average, you know?
Yeah.
When he says it's for a delivery, I ask, a delivery of what? He replies, a drug delivery. So I've never taken anything in my life. I haven't even smoked, not even a cigarette. So when he tells me it's a delivery of drugs, I stop him right away and say, well, it's not here. He keeps me longer asking, isn't it the neighbors upstairs? I know the whole neighborhood, but have no idea what they use. So I tell him I don't know and try to end the conversation.
Are you still in your pajamas at that point?
But actually, that's it. For me, originally, oh yes, that's right. Actually, I didn't want to open the door for him in the first place because I was in my underwear. So if I got up, actually, he couldn't see it from the outside. Because I had a blanket wrapped around my waist, well, actually, it was a hassle for me because I was half naked. You know, I just had a blanket around my waist. So I said, it's not here and all that, nah. He keeps me talking to extend the conversation, but he understands. I close the door.
How long does the interaction last with...
Maybe a minute or a minute and a half.
And you're talking about...
I don't know, maybe less than a minute when he says, oh, it's for the delivery. Drugs? That's not me. Oh, really? But who could it be? I have no idea. Maybe the upstairs neighbors. You don't know them, do you? Do you know how to get in? No, I don't know them. Honestly, not very interesting things.
Your father, he's always on the phone during that time?
And father, he's always on the phone at that time. So he hears the whole conference, but actually, I don't hear him because I didn't put it on speaker. Just so you know, when I call my father because I feel unsafe, he makes a lot of noise on the phone. It always puts me in an awkward spot since I usually call him when I feel unsafe. Actually, it's just a random thing, you know? So I feel uneasy around the person in front of me. That the person in front of me knows I feel unsafe hearing my father's voice on the phone. So I didn't put on the hands-free kit, I didn't turn on the speaker, I'm a boomer, you know, the hands-free kit, I didn't turn on the speaker. So I couldn't hear what he was saying. He could still hear everything happening. So I shut the door on the guy telling him, well, he leaves with his tail between his legs, right? I have no idea what he wants. I go back to sit down, so I take my dad and quickly explain it to him. And in the meantime...
So, what's your dad's opinion now that you're having this first debrief with him?
He's like, they're crazy. I don't know, you don't just knock on people's doors like that at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
But there's nothing weirder than that, really.
But it's still a boy who wants to deliver drugs.
But exactly, even more. My father, he was at an opening. My sister is an artist. He was at my sister's opening right in the middle of a crowd of people. He was there listening to my conversation with some random guy at the door that I don't know. So we quickly talk about it and everything, and we hadn't even hung up when the guy came back. And then he knocks on my kitchen window, or my living room window. It's the same window, just so you know. When I say kitchen or living room, it's the same window. So he knocks on that window, and he starts talking to me, but I can't really hear what he's saying. Because, well, the window was closed and I didn't want to open it. Because if I open it, basically, he's inside my place. So I didn't want to open the window. So he starts talking to me and everything, and I can't really hear what he's saying, so I tell him I can't hear. And then he tells me to open the window, so I tell him no. And so he speaks a little louder and everything. He asks if I know a certain street, but I say I don't. No, I don't know it. He tells me to open the window and all. I say, no, I won't open the window. While talking to him, I hear something in my room. Right next to me, a noise. So I start running into the room. The apartment was small, so I only ran 2 meters.
What are you thinking at that moment?
But then at that moment, I felt like something was off, because the fact that he was insisting that I open the window, really, I opened the window, he's at my place, the guy, it's like I opened the door, it's the same thing. So the fact that he was insisting that I open the window, plus, like, there's no noise on this street, there are no people passing by, there's nothing. So if there's any noise, it definitely means there's a problem. So right then, I totally panicked.
You realize something shady is happening to you.
Exactly. But I immediately understood that there was something going on, like there must have been two of them, and that something was about to happen.
Yeah.
So,
You hear a noise in your room about 15 meters away.
yeah, it's right next door. Honestly, I just have to take 4 steps. But so,
So what's the noise you hear?
I don't know anymore. I hear a noise, I hear that there's someone. I hear someone doing something, but can't describe the noise. So, I grab my blanket like this around my waist, then I start running in my room. I saw through the open door since I had visibility. I see that there are a guy's legs in my room. My bedroom window was there and the guy was he sat on my bedroom windowsill with his legs hanging inside. There was only a small gap between his feet and the floor, so if he straightened up, he'd be in my room. He didn't even need to jump.
What did the guy look like? Could you only see his legs or could you already see his face, you know?
It happened so fast, I saw his legs first while running, and since it's only 2 meters, it was over quickly. So I see his legs first, then I see the guy. And actually, I was expecting someone like the guy at the door, but not at all. There, it was I don't know, the first one must have been 15, and this one, I think he was maybe of age, but not much older. And he was in good shape, you know? Nothing like the little grumpy guy I had at first. You see?
Yeah.
So?
How tall is he approximately?
He is, well, I saw him sitting, so honestly, I would have a hard time telling you his height.
Taller than you or?
Yeah. However, he was taller than me. He was more imposing than the other one. The other one was kind of small, but he wasn't small at all.
What's your theory at that point? Do they know each other? Is there...
Yes, for me, the first guy creates a distraction while the second comes in.
What happens next?
Well, so I grab my blanket like this, wrap it around my waist, and then I run to my room. Then I start screaming. So I don't know what instinct took over me, but I start screaming. Instead of a scared scream, I start yelling loudly like, wow, 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 as if saying, this is my place, what are you doing here? And actually...
Your father, he's always on the phone?
My father is always on the phone, so he hears the whole situation. He hears that there's like some movement, he hears that I start yelling at home and everything, like he hears that there's a problem, you know, and him through the receiver. Now he's yelling into his phone like, Shoshana, what's going on? Tell me. He's on fire at my sister's art opening, everyone goes quiet, and there's my dad on the phone. So he hears everything, so I start yelling. Then actually, I think that, honestly, I'm such a coward. I don't know when my body decided I'd start screaming like a big mama. I think, like the little one at my door, he was small. I thought it would be the same on the other side. I'm not sure how it happened, but I guess that's what my brain thought. So it thought, okay, let's make a scream to scare them away. You see?
Yeah.
In this case, it worked. When I screamed, the guy ran off and both of them left in opposite directions. Running. So, my dad heard everything on the phone. While he was listening to what was happening, he was calling the police.
So you closed the window then, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. When he left, I immediately closed the window. Of course, that was my first instinct.
So what's next then? So your father calls the cops?
My father calls the police, I close the window, then answer him. And then I'm crying from all the stress I just went through from everything that happened, you know, so I'm in tears. He calls the police, like basically I'm on the phone with him, then he explains to my mom who is with him. And actually my mom heard him yelling, so she realizes there's a problem. So they called the police for me. I hung up with my dad and called the police. He also told me to call the police, so that's what we did. Everyone called the police. I can't recall exactly, but I think it was the municipal police, then the police, the second one. I don't remember what the name is. So we had both, you know, the Sheraton police and then like the big police, you know. So they asked me a bit about what happened, etc. They sent some men very quickly. I don't know, well, very quickly. If they were still really there, they would have had time to leave 10 times, but I don't know, maybe in 10 or 15 minutes. A patrol came to my house.
Yeah.
There were like 3 of them. They asked me questions and everything.
What questions did they ask you?
How did they look physically? I told them what they looked like, how many there were, what happened, and when. They asked about everything I had just experienced. And while I was talking to the police, my landlord's husband walked by in front of my place, so he saw his tenant at her door around 9:30 or 10 p.m. I don't recall the time since everything happened. Talking like that with the police. So he tells his wife saying, well, I saw the tenant and everything. She's with the police, so the landlady also calls me to find out what happened. I explain it to her and she says she's surprised because nothing like this has ever happened in this neighborhood. She has never felt She has always felt safe since moving here, living with her children and never having any problems, so this surprises her. Then she told me, well, you should have called me and everything, but she never answered when I called, so.
Many people are probably wondering, what are your theories at that point? What are you thinking? Why did they come? Who are those two guys? What did they want to do?
Basically, what I found weird was that the guy was actually at my place. His legs were hanging into my place. Actually, my room was set up so that there was a big shelf with all my jewelry on it. So literally, he was in my place. He just had to half extend his arm, not even fully, just half extend his arm to be able to grab my jewelry. Some were valuable, others weren't worth much. It was like costume jewelry, but literally, if he wanted to rob me, he had valuable stuff right in front of him within reach. He didn't take anything. So I already thought about that first. And I think my iPad or my laptop was on my bed, same thing. Actually, it was just a little farther than half an arm's length, but it was still within reach, you know? They didn't steal anything from me. My first theory was they wanted to rob me, but since they didn't take anything, I have a second theory. I just think they wanted to do something to me, you know? Like, I don't know if it was just violence for fun or even rape, I have no idea, you know, but the fact is that the guy could have stolen and he didn't take anything. And I think to myself, actually, thank goodness I didn't open the window when the other one insisted that I open it. Because if I had opened the window, I would have gone to my room for the other one. Actually, the second one came in through my bedroom window, and I was stuck through my living room window. Sorry, I was stuck, like one had come in, the other was, I was done for. So right now, I don't know.
So you think that while you would have gone to the room, if you had opened the window, he would have come from behind, trapping you between them, without any transition? I suggest we take it down another notch in terms of wild stories, and let's start with the second case in this video.
She set out to find her biological mother, but ended up uncovering a child trafficking ring. 1012 Brussels. In a small apartment, Colleen Fanon, a young mother, starts a life-changing investigation to find her true origins. Born as Mariella in Guatemala, she was adopted in Belgium shortly after her birth. All her life, she believed in a simple story, that of a child saved from a difficult life. But her research soon uncovered troubling issues, forged documents, inconsistent information, and silent witnesses. Guided by instinct, she uncovers the unthinkable. In Guatemala, a criminal organization was taking children from their families to sell them in Europe. A child trafficking ring hidden under the guise of official adoption, hundreds of lives stolen, millions of euros generated. Even worse, her biological mother had believed she was dead since birth. How could such a vast network operate with complete impunity? How many other children were erased without a trace? Who in Europe concealed or ignored these crimes? And most importantly, did Colleen manage to find her real parents? You will know everything in the smallest details. Welcome to StoryCube.
I vanished at 2 days old, was adopted near age 1, and later noticed many inconsistencies. There are dates that don't add up, there are names that don't add up. Spelling mistakes led us to uncover all the atrocities, including being tied to beds with ropes. He and his family led a human trafficking network, mainly involving babies. At that moment, I wondered if I should dive in. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Hello everyone. Today on StoryCube, I'm welcoming Mariella. You'll see she went through something traumatic. Actually, at birth, she was a victim of human trafficking. Her story is crazy. And today, she agreed to share her story with us here.
I was born in Guatemala, Latin America, and later adopted in Belgium, specifically in the Ardennes. So there I grew up with siblings and very loving parents. It was a great life. Normal.
So you grow up normally, you don't suspect anything, right, during your early years? How was your life there?
Well, yes, like everyone else, I go to school, I study. After finishing high school, I decided to focus more on criminal law. And then that's it. I work, I meet someone, I have children.
Did you have any suspicions in your early years?
No.
How does it happen, that realization or that moment when, at what point do you say to yourself, okay, maybe there's something I don't know about my life?
More during adolescence. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you try to see who you look like and so on. And I always had this emptiness, actually, because I didn't have anyone physically to relate to.
You know that you were adopted, obviously.
Yes, my parents always told me.
Do you feel like there's something...
Nothing yet at that time. I searched for my biological family a bit at 19, and it was the same. There wasn't everything there is today. Back then, there was nothing. So basically, I grew up until 31.
So at 19, you were already doing research?
Yes,
What exactly are you looking for at that moment?
a little bit of answers about my story, trying to understand what happened, to understand the country, and so on. I wanted to find my biological family, specifically my mother, but that's all.
So you do some research and you don't find anything about your origins, you don't even know what your mother or your parents were called, or, well, your biological parents.
I had the information, at least what was in the file, so I supposedly knew who my biological mother was. Yes.
Time goes by. You told me until you were 31. You live in so-called innocence. In any case, you don't really know what actually happened. What happens next at 31 years old?
I have my little daughter who at the time was all blonde with blue eyes and who was convinced she was a real Guatemalan Indian. And I had to explain to her actually that I didn't know how to answer her. I couldn't explain her origins. And that was a bit of a wake-up call to say to myself, well, I think it's time to start searching.
Did you start doing some research?
At first, I take my adoption file and I start to translate a little to search and so on. And then I realize there are a lot of inconsistencies. There are dates that don't match, there are names that aren't right, spellings.
When you say there are dates that don't match, what do you mean, like what?
Well, like my abandonment certificate was issued before my birth certificate. That already made me suspicious. I realized there was a problem, so I Googled the names mentioned in my file. And then that's when part of the truth at least blew up right in my face.
So what happens then? You type the names of the people listed in the file and...
I don't know them, but by typing the name Ofelia de Gamas, because we can mention her, she has passed away now, I come across an article in Spanish and English by a Franco-Honduran journalist who investigated human trafficking in Guatemala and who mentions her exactly as such, as a child trafficker. And me? That's the person who is mentioned in my file, not only as the witness to my act of abandonment, and also welcomed my adoptive parents in Guatemala during my adoption.
So here, you type the name of one of the people listed in your file. You find an article mentioning this name and discussing child trafficking.
Yes.
Wow. And what are you thinking at that moment? What are you telling yourself?
Honestly, I hope it's not about me. I told myself, no, not me.
What does this article say?
Basically, yes, he's an investigative journalist, so he clearly studied the issue and he mentioned a few ramifications. Who was Ofelia de Gamas? She was the sister-in-law of the current president who had overthrown the previous president, a genocidal dictator. So Efraín Ríos Montt?
As you keep investigating, do you find more inconsistencies or strange things that don't add up?
Yes and no. When I read the article and compare it to my file, there are similarities, but not everything matches. Then I contact this journalist as well.
Does he even respond when you talk to him?
Right away.
Okay.
I didn't expect him to answer me.
What are you contacting him on?
I'm contacting him on Messenger.
How does it go? What message do you send him, and how does he reply?
I tell him I just found his article, that I'm adopted from Guatemala, living in Europe, and want to learn more since Ofelia de Gamas handled my adoption. And then he replies to me very kindly. He actually, yes, almost offered to help me, or at least to put me in touch with people who could help me in Guatemala. At that time, I no longer spoke Spanish, so he had to make the connection between us.
He got info about this trafficker elsewhere.
Yes, so basically, he reports a 1981 arrest of this woman.
Yeah.
With another person, for children meant for standard adoption in Canada. But this woman handled most of the adoptions to Europe, so to France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and also Germany, and even Switzerland. So there you go.
Even in my own country.
Even in your own country.
And what is it, I'm asking myself this question, maybe you have the answer at this point. How does it work? Do they take children and sell them, or do it secretly? How does it really happen? Not talking about your case specifically, we'll come back to that a bit later, but...
I can relate this to a more recent case. There was an influencer not too long ago who made a bit of a scandal in the headlines. Speaking about that because he was explaining the change of passport. To take another child's passport to give to another child from Madagascar. That's exactly what happened, actually. So they created identities, they made up identities, so they took children, either because Guatemala was in armed conflict at that time, so either they took children from the war zones, or they stole them from the street, from hospitals. They made false reports of abuse and placed the children Actually, they were adoptions, not placements. Internationally, so the parents lost track of the children. But there were really several periods, several stages in adoptions in Guatemala, and it went through adoption agencies here in Europe.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So what happens to these children? So do they profit by returning them to adoption agencies?
Supposedly, the parents were paying application and other fees. Sometimes they even lied. They said that some children needed, I don't know, I'm giving well-known examples, like a child only had one kidney. Throughout the adoption process, the parents pay for medical care for a child allegedly with kidney failure. And when the child arrives here, well, everything is fine. He has 2 kidneys. He's doing very well. They were just making up expenses. They were inflating adoption expenses, you know.
So that means the adoption agencies were involved too. How did...
Not all of them. Some of them, yes.
Yeah.
But not all of them.
Okay, yeah.
Not all of them. The parents just trusted us.
So it's really a scam. In the end, that's also aimed at parents who want to adopt children. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's trafficking.
You contact the article's author, he replies quickly. You exchange messages and he agrees to help. What are you feeling at that moment?
In that moment, I tell myself I'm diving in and we'll see how it goes.
How do you feel? Do you feel betrayed, lost or angry or...
More lost.
You said you waited until you had concrete evidence before talking to your adoptive parents, so... What were those things you were waiting to have?
My parents had always told me that in Guatemala Ophelia had taken them to the house. She took them to Antigua, a beautiful city in Guatemala, with her brother-in-law. They always said they had coffee at her brother-in-law's, and my father had it in his memories. The memory precisely of a retired soldier in uniform who had welcomed them. When I found the article, it wasn't just that he was the soldier and his brother-in-law, but mainly that he was the former president. And my parents never knew, so I came back with this information more than 30 years later, telling them, well, do you remember the veteran in Antigua? And they said, yes, yes. So then I showed them several photos of presidents and asked, do you recognize him in these pictures? And my father immediately said, yes, that's him. I told him, there you go. He was Ophelia's brother-in-law. And he and his family were running a human trafficking network of babies and young children. And then my parents, they started to realize that indeed something was wrong.
What are your parents thinking then?
They immediately decided to help me and asked what they could do. Because in the end, it's all of our story.
They feel betrayed and may have spent a lot of money. We don't know if they got scammed too, I guess they did, but what were the consequences for them?
My mom, mostly sadness. At first, well, we didn't have the whole story yet, of course. So my mom at first was also very worried about me, about how I was feeling about it, like any mom, I think. And my dad, he had to pull out all the files, really, everything that had been paid, to whom, where.
And do they find any information? Do they find the people they sent the money to, for example, or...
Yes, everything was recorded, so that I had records of the bank transfers from the 80s. Yeah, that I had everything, fortunately.
And we have a rough idea of how much money they have. That they could have. Well, that they sent to people they shouldn't have, factually.
Yes, in Belgian francs at the time, that would be roughly between $15,000 and $20,000 today.
Were you afraid that it might change something between you and your relationship with your adoptive parents at that time, though?
Yeah, a little bit.
You were apprehensive. And in the end, by the way, did it go well or not so much? Did it affect your relationship or not?
No, it went better than I could have imagined. Afterwards, I take advantage of it. I'm lucky. I'm really lucky to have the parents I have. They were there the whole time.
After that, keep going. To investigate how things are going, what happens next? So you tell your parents the news? They start looking for some bank documents and so on. What do you do next? What's the next step of this investigation you're conducting?
I'm starting to look for people who have the same last name and first name as my mother. And I find different profiles. And there really are...
That your biological mother? No, yeah.
My biological mother, yeah. And there is one where I say, okay, physically we look a lot alike. And then I look a bit,
How do you find photos of people by their full name? Do you use Google Images or something else?
I used Google, I used Facebook.
Yeah.
But it was more Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, Google. Then I scroll through her profile and there I see that she's referring to the loss of her baby. Every November 7th. And so every November 7th, she posts something in memory of a child she lost. Yeah,
And you think, actually, that child is you, right?
I'm not sure, but my file before adoption said I was born on November 7th.
What's going on in your head when you find that out?
It goes fast, huh? It goes really fast. I know it's her, that's for sure. Well, I'm deeply convinced of it. I saw photos of those children, possibly my siblings. We all look very similar, so that's it. It's not just a feeling. It's really
Yeah.
here in the middle. And I know it's her, so now the whole thing is figuring out how I'm going to contact her.
Yeah, that's it.
There was also a language barrier then.
Yeah.
I didn't speak Spanish anymore, so...
What do you do next?
Well, I wrote to her. She didn't see my message, so that was November 30, 2017. So I sent her a message on Messenger explaining that I really don't want to disturb her life, that I would understand. I still hope that it's a normal adoption, so I tell her I understand if she doesn't want to discuss it, especially if her family or children don't know, and that I want to be discreet, and really I want to be kind, truly. I take some...
So do you write in English or do you write in Spanish?
I write in Spanish, but with Google Translate. In the end, I have a friend who speaks Spanish who checked my message before I sent it. Yeah, so I sent it, and then she didn't see it.
Okay.
And so it continues for days, even a week, 12 days. And then, actually, it's unbearable because you're on hold, waiting for any notification or response. Then I was afraid she would block me too. You never know, so I waited, and then after 12 days, I thought it was taking too long. And so I saw that her eldest daughter, her oldest, who was also named Lorena because my mom's name is Lorena. So she had a profile and she was very, very, very religious. I thought maybe it'll work in the name of God.
Yeah.
And it worked.
So what do you do then at that moment?
I write to her and she replies.
That's crazy. So you also looked into your potential sisters, brothers and sisters, and you come across this profile. You send her a message. What happens then?
She replies to me right away. Yeah, and she replies to me, she writes to me. There, I'm more brief. I just said that I'm looking. I obviously know that our mom is in her contacts.
Yeah.
She tells me, but what do you want from him? I don't have any money. And then she calls me.
A bit defensive, you know?
Absolutely. In Guatemala, extortion is common.
Yeah, that's right.
The maras and so on. The mafia, you know, it's something that exists, and so do kidnappings. Everyone is very careful. We pay attention, even now. And so now she's going to call me, except that clearly I don't understand anything and can't express myself well. So...
Yeah, because so you still don't speak Spanish, right? And she only speaks Spanish, so I guess that's it.
Yeah, and so now she texts me, but who are you? And so then I tell her, well, my name is Mariella. I was born in 1986. My mother's name was Lorena ta. Then she delivers the final blow. That's impossible. My sister Mariella died at birth. And I tell her, well, no. Anyway, so then I tell myself it's all or nothing. And in the meantime, I get another message, this time from a different sister. Supposedly sisters.
Yeah.
Who bluntly asks me, what information do you have? And me, well, I tell myself it's all or nothing. So I sent a copy of the identification card of my biological mom, and she tells me, yes, that's my mother, that's our mother, but some of the information isn't correct. And it goes fast. Actually, it lasted all in all 17 minutes, but it's really one thing after another.
In 17 minutes, you send nearly all your documents and information.
Yeah.
So that they understand, actually, well, so that your sisters then finally understand, it's in quotes. It was so they would understand the trick, you know, what happened, what really happened, you know.
They didn't understand immediately and ended up contacting my mother. And it's my mother who will understand at that moment. And so...
How do they respond when you send those messages?
Well, it's questioning. The first and oldest don't understand. The second one... She says to me, but why do you have a copy of my mom's identification card, but with false information?
Yes.
It's kind of like a chain reaction.
Yeah, that's it.
And now it's my mom who's going to write to me, finally. Yes.
When you say she writes to you, do you mean she replies to your message?
Yes.
Do we know if then she saw the message or just...
No, she hadn't seen it.
Or she just hadn't seen it?
No, she writes to me, hello, my love, I think I'm your mom. Believe me, my heart is going to stop. They told me you were dead.
What did you reply to her?
Mom, mama in Spanish with a heart. Just that cold shower, well, felt like throwing up everything. I think I went through every emotion.
Well, yeah, of course.
The shock, really, the shock.
Did you exchange other messages after that? Well, I imagine so, but what was the...
The problem is she calls me. And on the other hand, I have messages from my sisters who are texting me. Don't respond to her, she's alone and someone will come. Wait. Since everyone now understands what happened, they're worried for her. Obviously.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm waiting, but in the end, it's unbearable. Actually, she calls me and she thinks I don't want to answer her, so I press on the green button. And then I saw my mother for the first time in 31 years.
How old were you at that time?
31 years old.
31 years old, and you meet your biological mother for the first time?
Yes.
How did that FaceTime call with her go?
Magical. Painful yet magical. Painful because I say it all the time, but she had a ghost in front of her eyes. Well, there you go, she couldn't imagine for a moment what had happened. And what's crazy is that out of all my brothers and sisters, I'm the one who looks the most like her. Though I grew up 10,000 kilometers from her without ever having her example in the end.
Because just so we're clear, she thought you were dead.
Yes, that's the story we had. That's the story we had told her.
That's it. So what's her version of the events, of what really happened? How could she believe you were dead? What really happened, actually?
So she gives birth at the hospital, and then I leave with my mom to be with my brothers and sisters, because I have an older sister and an older brother. And I had a very high fever, so she took me back to the hospital, where they told her that I needed to be hospitalized. And her too, actually. And then they separated us. And then my mom's milk came in, so she asked to see her baby so she could feed me. Like any woman who's had a child, it hurts, so you need to hurry. Then they tell her she no longer has a baby. So they transferred me, supposedly, to another hospital. My mother is going to come pick me up. She won't find any trace. At the hospital, she's told that no one named Mariella has ever been admitted. So she turns around and goes back to the hospital where we were. There, 2 people will tell her, "We're sorry, ma'am. Your baby has passed away since you weren't there." To acknowledge the death of your child. In fact, we proceeded to place the body in a mass grave under X. There you go.
But anyway, I have too many questions, sorry. But so, does that mean the hospital was in on the child trafficking? Does it mean they were also duped or what?
Well, supposedly. Yeah, supposedly.
So, she returns to the hospital and is told her baby has died and she can't see them. The baby's body at the end.
No, she signed the death documents. Yeah, that's right.
Did you learn that on this call or later during the FaceTime call?
Well, a little, not everything right away.
Yeah, that's it.
But for her, her first concern is, at first she says to me, "Well, which city are you in?" Because she thought I was in Guatemala.
Yeah.
I tell her, "Well, no." So I had to explain that I was adopted, that I was in Belgium. She told me she knows nothing except Paris, so I explained it's the country next to France, and in half Spanish, which was really very bad at the time.
Of course.
And yes, so all of that. And then finally, well, also to take the time to stop crying, to be able to look at myself, to meet my brothers and sisters who are also arriving little by little finally during this call.
Yeah, that's it. They're joining the call after.
Yeah, including my brother who's calming my mother, since she was completely hysterical at first when this happened.
How does this call end? How long does this call last again, this call with?
I don't remember exactly. A long time. There were several calls, actually. There was that call, then we wrote to each other, and then we called each other again. Well, during the night, yes, it lasted. I think I went to sleep because I had to get up for my kids, so I slept for an hour or 2. And little by little over the following days, it was my other brothers and sisters who wrote to me. And then my dad. My dad, who was... My mom casually tells me, "Oh, check my Facebook friends for this person." That's actually your dad.
So they were separated then?
Yes, but they were still in touch.
So do you get back in touch with your dad too, or?
Yes, I initially asked him, but who will tell him?
Yeah.
Because my father, well, he speaks Spanish, but he's American. He lives in Los Angeles. So she tells me, "Well, you can do it. He speaks English." Yeah, well, I'm not really sure actually that I want to do it like that, but she tells me, "I'd rather you do it than me." And so, well, there I start again to write.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, to my dad and tell him, well, that I'm Mariella. He didn't understand at first. Then again, also a call.
Yes, that's right. He answers you then when you send him a message, your father.
At first, I tell him I'm Lorena's daughter, but he thinks I'm another girl and doesn't understand. And it's when he says good evening to me. I told him it was morning for me. Because of the time difference, he was unsure but didn't understand.
Yeah.
When we called, I told him, no, I'm Mariella. He often said in English, you have my lips. You have my lips. You're an angel in the sky. Well, I was his little girl who had passed away. And my father, it was hard because I saw a man I didn't know, but ultimately, I still liked seeing him in pain and cried because he was crying. Then he had to hang up because he couldn't stop. So it's just talking about it still makes my eyes teary. Yeah.
Because him, same thing. Actually, he also thought that, well, he had the same version as your biological mother in the end. So that you were dead at birth, you know. After these calls and this contact, do you decide to contact the authorities or do you decide to do a little investigation? Or how do you, well, is there a follow-up actually to this investigation?
Yes, so between the moment I found my mother's profile and the moment I saw her for the first video call, I had already been in contact with the Belgian authorities, so I already had a connection. An appointment to be heard, which was scheduled as a witness, and then finally, well, I'm going as a victim because I have the story in my hands. Yes, I do. There was a judicial investigation underway, so I joined in. And then I became a civil party with my parents.
What does that actually mean for those who...
So, a civil party? It's before an investigating judge, so an investigation differs from an inquiry. The judge has more specific authority. Also being able to access the file and follow the investigation. Let's say we're almost done. We're being summoned. We were summoned for the procedural settlement and a hearing next month for the indictments.
That means you still managed to gather quite a bit of information about this trafficking.
Yes. Well, there are a lot of us. There are many of us, I remind myself. I'm definitely not alone. Every story is unique, but there are different types of trafficking. And in this particular case, there are different stories. There are. I think it's also important to respect each story. The police did their job, and so now the investigation, there is the secrecy of the investigation. We must, I repeat, also respect the presumption of innocence. Now it's up to justice, and we're waiting for a judgment and for people to explain themselves, since they're still silent.
Did you manage to learn some of or get to know the operating model of those people? I mean, what do they actually do? I mean, in general, concretely?
Well, the ramifications were everywhere, so there were what we call the jaladoras. So they're the women, the street recruiters, who go find poor mothers, they come across a dramatic situation and in the end, they take advantage of that. There were the mothers who were prostitutes. There were the mothers who were wounded. There were the women of activists. The armed conflict was obviously between the government and the indigenous populations, so there were also all the indigenous people.
Which category did your mother fall into?
She gave birth in the wrong hospital, yeah.
Because your theory is more or less that the hospital was actually involved, right?
Definitely. Multiple children vanished that day, so yes.
And so, the pattern is similar to what you described at the start of the video. That is, they took you when you were a baby, and what did they do? They sold it afterwards to an adoption agency?
For me, it was different since I stayed nearly another year in Guatemala and disappeared. I was 2 days old when I was adopted. I was almost a year old, so I stayed in a nursery. Well, what they call casa cuna, so a clandestine house, which from what I found was located in the basement, in a cellar, where obviously all the atrocities that were there were discovered, especially the lack of proper care. We were tied to beds with ropes, so they discovered photos. We followed the trail and confirmed it. Other articles also said she was detained the entire time. Anyway, my story is that while I was in Guatemala, Ofelia de Gamas, was arrested again, so in March. And we realized that there's a whole period where, well, yes, we were rescued by the Red Cross. The police intervened, then we went back. Well, anyway, corruption is everywhere over there.
Yeah, that's right. And so, in the end, it means they put you in a kind of small house, in a basement over there, with other babies, I guess. While they're looking for a potential buyer actually for these children,
Yes, so that's what's painful and difficult. The thing is, obviously, they need to offer children to parents who are unable or who want to have a child, but through adoption. Just so you know, my parents chose adoption. They could have had children. It was really a decision, even from when my mother was a teenager. My adoptive mother as a teenager said, I want to adopt. So it was her life plan, actually.
Yeah.
And so I don't like saying this, but it's true. It's supply and demand. There are countries, Guatemala, but others too, I'm thinking of. To Korea, there are countries that have really been importers of babies.
Yeah.
And where trafficking has infiltrated mechanisms that existed, but that existed to allow parents to become parents. And finally, it often turned out to be something else.
And so your parents completely innocently, well, your adoptive parents completely innocently. They arrive there, they say, okay, we're going to adopt a child, and then they bring you back to Belgium.
They used a Belgian adoption agency. It's the agency that supposedly handled everything. And my parents traveled to Guatemala to come and get me.
I think you mentioned it earlier, but has this trafficking been stopped today? Are they still active? Or has something changed in the meantime?
So adoptions in Guatemala have not been possible since 2007. It was completely stopped because they realized that it was impossible. We're still talking about 35,000 to 40,000 adopted children. During the conflict, 5,000 to 8,000 children disappeared in these adoptions. And so even today, there is still forensic work being done, collecting DNA from the graves, comparing and so on. So there is also a duty of remembrance. Regardless of whether adoptions are international or internal, the duty remains. In Guatemala, children go missing weekly. For whom and why?
That organization with that person is no longer active. She was arrested.
So Ophelia, she died.
Okay.
Well, it's officially here.
Yeah.
Officially, that's what we're told. She might still be alive. Anything's possible in Guatemala.
Yeah.
But officially, she's dead. The people she was arrested with, they're not. Not all of them, anyway. In fact, one of them is currently a prominent member of the United Nations in 2025.
How does it go? A little after you got in touch with your parents, did you decide to go see them there in person? Or what happens next?
Well, it was complicated to live those two lives with such a big time difference too. The days are reversed, nights are days, days are nights. And I had my little boy who was just a baby at the time. I needed to leave. I needed to go find her. I needed to...
Your biological parents, they actually find out that they also have grandchildren. It's a bit.
Yeah. And at first it's funny how they instantly refer to them as our grandchildren. For me, ultimately, there isn't this yet.
Yes, that's it.
The bond formed there endures, even with shared blood. And then I'm leaving in January. A month and a half later, I left, and now I'm actually going to meet my mother in Guatemala. Yeah.
How's it going? This reunion?
It's wonderful. So actually, my mother came to the airport with all my brothers and sisters, and she had already made the trip because she doesn't live in the capital at all. So she had traveled from the Pacific coast. And when I arrived, well, it was magical, really magical.
She finds her daughter missing for 31 years.
Yeah.
You've been searching for your biological mother from the start.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's really special because she's someone, we also look alike, like two peas in a pod. It's really her scent. It's something I'll never forget. Never her scent, and even her tears. It's always thinking about it. I can still feel her tears. I'll never forget that. And her scent, she smelled great.
What do you think? When you see her like that, do you think anything?
Me, I cry. I can't speak, and she always tells me everything. She still calls me her baby, even though I'm not anymore.
Yeah, of course.
That's my baby, and I love you. She tells me right away, I love you.
How are things going these days? Are you spending a few days together? You?
Oh, well, we're staying together 24 hours a day for 11 days, yes, so we go back to her house. Well, my brothers and sisters' lives go back to normal because they have to work, the kids have school and so on, but me, I stay with her 24 hours a day. You should know that my dad is in Guatemala. He had traveled from the United States. My father remarried and they don't see each other anymore, so I didn't want to I didn't want to be separated from my mother. And for my father, it wasn't an option despite the circumstances. So my mother could return to her family. So I said I'll stay with my mom.
Yeah.
Sorry. And we were leaving on the same day. We were supposed to meet at the airport, but ended up missing each other.
Okay.
Of a few minutes.
It's a silly question, but your adoptive parents, when they find out you're going to see your biological family, do they say anything or are they just like, that's great? What's their point of view on it?
My parents were actually wonderful. They gave me a gift. They paid for my trip to go back. And they took care of my children.
Okay.
So that's it. That was their way. To give me a pat on the back and say, go ahead. Even though I was scared to death, and I felt reassured because they were there on the other side too, after all.
Scary, right? But not as much as the third and final case we'll discuss in this video. Finish your little pizza if you haven't finished it yet. And get ready for this third case.
He was having lunch in the cafeteria with his friends. A few minutes later, he was accused of murdering his head of student affairs. At a high school in Saint-Denis, Paris region, a young student experiences a life-changing day. While he is in the cafeteria with the other students, a group of police officers suddenly enters the room. He is handcuffed in front of his class, leaving his classmates shocked. The accusation is grave. He allegedly murdered his principal education advisor, shocking the entire school. He did nothing, yet the evidence is overwhelming. Minutes later, he's taken into custody in front of his classmates. His name is already tarnished, but the truth is more complex than authorities think. Several hearings, interrogations under pressure, and endless days in total confusion make him lose all trust in the justice system. His future already seems shattered. Rejected by every high school and stigmatized for an uncommitted crime, what will the autopsy reveal? What did the principal education advisor die of, and was it really him who killed him? You're going to learn everything in the smallest details. Welcome to StoryCube.
I get up, I say why, I turn around while he's putting the handcuffs on me. I ask him again why. There were 6 police officers following us. There was the chief, there was even the director. I'm like this. And when you really didn't do it, you're there. You're 16, 17 years old. You are accused of murder.
Hello everyone. Today on StoryCube, I'm welcoming Kris. You'll hear his unbelievable story. In 2018, he was wrongly accused of murdering his principal education advisor. He hadn't done anything at all. Before we start, can you briefly explain, what kind of boy were you?
At that time, in 2018, I was a minor and I was very, very disruptive.
Oh.
Yeah, very disruptive almost, according to my head of student affairs, pack leader.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, honestly, very disturbing.
How old were you?
I must have been 16 or 17, I think 16 or 17, yeah.
Did you have friends or were you more of a loner? What was your vibe?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends, you know?
Yeah.
I really had a lot of friends. I was never hanging out alone. I was the kind of person who, I like making people laugh.
Yeah.
Since I enjoy making people laugh, I need my group with me. Some good troublemaker friends too, but that's fine.
When you say little troublemaker, what do you mean?
Like those with many notes in their report books or frequently in detention. That was us, unfortunately.
Did you ever have any issues with the teachers or with that head of student affairs in particular?
With the teachers, no. No, not with the teachers, but with the head of student affairs. Yeah, honestly, it's happened before. Whether in the cafeteria or at recess. It's already happened, yeah.
What tensions did you have with him?
Just some minor tensions. I mean, it's not necessarily anything major, but since I was really the person in his sights, I was the one taking the heat.
Did he hate you or just give you detentions?
I don't know if he honestly hated me, but I had the feeling that he did. Me, all the time, I kept telling myself that he doesn't like me anyway. And I myself didn't really like him that much. But you never know. We didn't like each other much, I think.
Yeah.
Deep down, really, we didn't love each other.
So, what kind of student do you think you were?
I wasn't calm, but I knew when to calm down.
Yeah.
When there was a limit, I knew how to calm myself down.
What kind of stupid things did you used to do?
Honestly, just childish stuff. I could throw things, Sometimes I would talk. The teacher would turn around and say, silence. Just childish stuff.
Yeah.
I was really childish before.
Yeah, it's cool. You used to throw stuff like that.
Yeah, forget it.
Can you describe that morning for us, the morning of the events?
So that morning for me, it was a morning like any other. It's not. It's just that I was arriving often late. It's just another typical morning.
So you arrived late that morning?
I arrived late that morning. And I arrived late. I pull my note from the notebook. They scold me a little, you see. And I go up to class.
Who writes notes in your notebook?
It's the principal education advisor directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get to class, what, you show up 15 minutes, 30 minutes late, you show up?
Yeah, maybe 15 or 20.
Yeah. Right away, you go see the principal education advisor.
Straight into his office. He writes me a note, scolds me a bit, and says they'll call your parents. Don't be late, I don't know what. And while I'm going up to class, a supervisor sees me leaving his office.
Yeah.
I went straight to class, and that's when it clicked for me.
Yeah. What's next?
Next, I'm going to class. I usually go to class and attend while I'm there. When it's recess, bam. When the bell rings, as soon as the classroom door opens, we head out for recess. There's the principal, the headmaster, who was waiting for me in front of the door.
Okay, yeah.
Me? I thought maybe he wanted to call me in because of my absences or because of I don't know. It didn't happen like usual, why not? I follow him into his office thinking, oh man, I'm in trouble now. He's going to call my parents and scold me. But while we're going to his office, he doesn't seem like he usually does. I don't know, I can feel it. He's cold, icy, even a bit pale, and we're going to his office. He asks me questions. Are you okay? Did everything go well? When did you arrive? Is everything okay with your absences? How are things with the head of student affairs? How is your relationship going? I'm thinking, but why is he asking me so many questions? I don't get it. It's like, well, how are you? What's up? Just like a high school student.
He's questioning you about the principal education advisor you saw earlier.
About the principal education advisor. How is my life currently? I'm wondering why he's questioning me. The principal doesn't care about... I don't expect him to ask me these questions. He just does.
What are you thinking? You don't understand?
Me, I answer him, but I answer him like, why is he telling me all this? I really don't understand the situation. And when he's done with his questions, he's pale, he's really cold when he asks me the questions. Even after his questions, he leaves awkward silences. When he's finished, he tells me I can return to class. But when I leave, I'm like, what's going on here? After that, it's lunchtime, the cafeteria, we have the cafeteria, we finish eating and everything. It's 1 o'clock, 1:30.
How did you feel then? Do you ever recall the moment with the principal?
I was talking about it with my friends. I told them, he's weird, the principal. He asked me a lot of questions. I thought maybe he wants to kick me out, or I don't know what he saw. And even while we're eating, we hear a lot of sirens.
Okay.
While we're eating, at that moment, I didn't realize it.
Quick reminder, there's an email here where you can send a short summary of your story. If you face something traumatic or upsetting, you might be featured on StoryCube. Now, back to the story. Are all the students eating in that cafeteria, or is there no one in the building?
No, we're all eating quietly. There are a lot of flashing lights and even, I don't know. When we're almost done around 1:20 p.m. That's when we see the police coming up.
Yeah.
We thought, oh, something must have happened, I think.
Because you've never seen cops in the building?
No, because there were a lot of them, including firefighters. It wasn't just serious. We thought maybe someone was injured or I don't know. But something must have really happened there.
There, you're thinking, oh damn, something crazy happened, but you don't necessarily make the connection with...
No, I really didn't think at that moment that it was me.
Yeah.
Really not. And when it's time to go back to class, the principal, he comes back to get me. In his office, there are at least 5 or 6 police officers. I look at them, I'm like, what are they doing here? Why? I'm in an office with police officers and don't understand.
Are you panicking a little? How do you feel?
My heart, it's beating, it's really beating hard. And really. And I'm like, I sit on the chair there, I laugh, but I really wasn't laughing at the time.
What did the police look and act like?
The police officers, they're cold, they don't talk to me. I think their chief was there, he was the only one who could talk to me, but the others, they don't talk to me. I ask, what's going on? At that moment, they don't tell me, they say they're not allowed to tell me what happened. They ask me more. The police officer who just arrived asks me nearly the same questions as the principal.
Okay.
About my life, about the relationship I had with my head of student affairs. When I arrived, I had notebooks in my bag. What do you mean? What was in my bag? And really a lot of questions, but more about my private life.
Are you showing your bag a little or what?
Yeah, I had my stuff, I showed them, I had notebooks and everything. They even went to search my locker.
So they search your circle, they search your locker. Damn, that's crazy.
They searched my bag, they searched my locker. I really wonder what I did. Why all these questions? I ask them, but they don't answer. They tell me, well, we're not allowed to tell you, sir. Just answer our questions, that's all. When the questions are over. And when they put the handcuffs on me, they tell me that I'm going to be handcuffed. And when they tell me, they say, we're going to put the handcuffs on you. I'm like, what? Why? Why do you want to handcuff me? What did I do? They say, we can't tell you, sir, to stand up, turn around, and let us handcuff you. I stand up, I ask why. I turn around while they're putting the handcuffs on. I ask him again, why? I keep asking questions, and at that moment, I'm stressed. I'm stressed at that moment, and I ask questions. I repeat, he tells me he can't answer, but I still ask the same question, even 10 more times. I'm stressed. And they handcuff me and take me to their truck. But the way from the office to the truck, there are students.
Yeah, you cross the...
Well, yeah, the hallway, even the cafeteria, we cross it, I think. Yeah, we cross it.
There are police officers behind you and you?
A police officer behind me. There are 6 police officers following us. There's the chief, there's even the principal. I'm like this.
You spot your buddies as you pass by?
I see some of my buddies, they're actually filming me. I lower my head and look at everyone, but I keep it down. I'm like super stressed out. It's not like I'm ashamed, like why are they doing this to me? It's more like, what did I do? What did I do wrong for them to be here? They must have a reason.
Do you tell them you didn't do anything at that moment?
Yeah, I'm panicking. I say I didn't do anything. Leave me alone. Why am I here? Why are you taking me? I didn't do anything. Why all these questions? I'm stressed. Everything's on my mind. I tell them.
So you walk down the hallway, you pass by the former students.
Yeah.
At that moment, do they let you call your parents or someone, or do they just take you and not let you tell anyone? Do they take your phone? What's it like?
At that moment, I wasn't even thinking about telling my parents. I was so scared. I just really wanted to know what was happening right then. It's when we're even in the car to go to the station, to the police station. Even then, I ask them, what's going on? They tell me, radio silence.
If you get in a police car, do they put you in the back, or what happens?
They put me in the back. Like that, we were in a Berlingo, I was in the middle, 2 police officers, 1 on each side of me in the front. Just like that, forget it.
How long does this trip take?
I don't know, I'd say 20-25 minutes, I think.
What do you think about during those 25 minutes?
I asked them the same questions. I'm in total panic, the same questions. Why? What am I doing here? What's happening? Why am I here and what am I accused of? Silent radio.
Was the driving like in movies, speeding towards something or just normal?
Actually, it scared me because it was my first time in a police car with flashing lights. You could hear you can hear it loud.
And you're inside.
You're inside, you hear it, you see the blue thing, you see another police car following behind. I keep telling myself this is for me, but I wonder why I'm here. I'm a good guy and did nothing wrong.
So you arrive at the police station?
We arrive at the police station. Arrived at the police station. They put me on a bench. A few minutes. It's like it's some kind of welcome. I don't know. They put me on a bench. They tie me to a bench.
They actually tie you to the bench?
Yeah, they tie me to the bench. Forget it. I'm sitting there waiting on the bench. I wait a few minutes and then I see someone from the police on their computer. He talks to me. He asks me questions.
Okay, they ask you questions again?
They ask me pretty much the same questions again.
It's a kind of interrogation.
How did it go this morning? What happened? Pretty much the same questions.
And what are you explaining? Are you explaining that you arrived late, that you saw the principal education advisor?
I'm repeating myself. I arrived late. I went to class as usual, explained my late arrival, and saw my principal education advisor. He wrote a note for me, he talked to me, I went upstairs.
Yeah.
I explained everything, including that I ran into a supervisor who saw me going up at school. When I even said that I ran into the supervisor, I was speaking from the perspective of, like, look, that person saw me going to school, Maybe someone else saw me somewhere else because I am accused, but I attended class.
Do you have any idea what's happening then, or do you start forming theories?
I was always suspicious and doubtful, never trusting. At that moment, I don't know anything at all yet. They're just asking me questions. I don't know anything at all. I don't understand anything. And even at the end of the police officer's interrogation, he tells me, well, we're going to inform your parents. We have to call your parents.
So after the interrogation, do they ever tell you why you're there or keep you in the dark?
At that moment, at the end of the discussion with him, that's when he says, sir, you're accused of murder. When they tell me that, shock. I'm shocked to be accused of murder. I think it's a nightmare. They only say that in movies. They can't say it unless you actually did it. But when you're innocent and only 16 or 17, you're accused of murder. He uses the real term homicide, not murder. I don't know. You are accused of homicide. Voluntary. I do, but what do you mean homicide? Against whom? He tells me. He doesn't say who, just that I'm accused of homicide. He only mentions the laws and talks about legal matters. Me, I'm in a state.
Article 12.
What is he saying? I don't know why he's telling me this. I didn't do anything. He tells me that, he says that. Afterwards, they take me to the cell. And I'm in shock mode. I'm like, what's happening?
When you arrive in the cell, are you alone or did they?
No. When I arrive in the cell, I think there are two people. One of them was on a stone bed. Another one was on the floor, and I lay down on the floor too.
And so you're there, you're in the cell, on the floor, and they've just told you that you've killed someone.
Yes, I'm there. I'm in the cell on the floor. I'm completely lost at that moment. I'm in the cell. I'm thinking, what am I doing here? I don't know. I'm totally lost. Plus, since you lose track of time there.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can take a nap, wake up, and you don't even know what time it is. You can even ask the post chief for the time. He could lie about the time and you wouldn't know.
What does the cell look like when you're inside?
It's gloomy, it's dark, kind of, not much light.
The wall, what are the walls like?
The walls, what were they like? They were grey, covered in graffiti.
Do they tell you how long you're going to stay in the cell or not necessarily?
No, they don't tell me. They don't tell me how many hours I'm going to do. I don't even know. I don't even tell myself if I'm going to stay in custody for a long time. I'm asking myself all the questions like, why am I here? When was I accused of murder? Which murder? My mom, she's going to kill me.
Even though you didn't do anything?
Even though I didn't do anything? What's going to happen? What are my friends going to think? So many questions on my mind. Wow. I was even with some of them in police custody. They were talking. They tried to talk to me. I answered, but kind of like it was as if I was a bit dazed.
Yeah. How long did it really last in that cell?
It lasts 24 hours, I think, maybe even a little less. I think it's even 19 hours, I believe.
19 hours locked up in the cell?
Yeah. And then I see at that moment the police officer comes to get me. I go see the judicial police officer.
So you go see the guy who's kind of leading the investigation when you get out of police custody?
Yeah, I go see him. I explain to him pretty much the same questions. How did my morning go? What happened that day? He writes down everything I say and tells me, okay, when he's done listening to me. Okay, he listened to me more than he asked me questions though.
Did they offer you to see a lawyer at any point?
Yes, they offered me a lawyer, but I really didn't know anything about it. That means me, I don't have any more. I answered, I'm going to see my parents first. They're the ones I want to talk to. Them, they're going to talk to me about a lawyer. Maybe because people talk to me about a lawyer. I don't know. I don't have a lawyer. I don't know who it is. He says to me, okay, all right, we've informed your parents. Your mom is coming to pick you up. Since I'm a minor, I don't think I can leave by myself. My mom, she's coming. Someone picked me up 2 hours later, and after seeing the judicial police officer, I returned to police custody. 2 hours later, I left and saw my mom.
Yes.
The shoelaces in my hands. When I see my mother, I feel sad. I'm really sad. I see her. I'm like,
What's going on?
What's going on in my life? What's happening? Mom, what did I do? I see her. I'm happy, but it's like I let myself go because I was happy to see her. And like, Mom, get me out of here because what's happening here is serious. I think we had already told her on the phone that I was accused of this. I think we had already told her.
So you tell her things. What's the interaction you have with your mother?
At that moment, I see her. I almost have tears in my eyes. I give her a hug. And we go to the car, and in the car, I explain to her what happened, that I am accused of murder. I explain everything to her. Everything that happened that day. Police custody.
What does she think? Does she believe you or not?
She believes me right away. She knows that I'm not. She raised me well. I'm not capable of committing a murder.
So when exactly do you make the connection? When do you realize that actually they're accusing you of killing your principal education advisor?
I make the connection when I return home after leaving police custody. I take out my phone, and it's my friends who tell me that my principal education advisor has passed away.
Yeah.
I immediately start to make the connection. That must be related to that. I'm absolutely sure of it.
You're actually the last one who saw him.
That's right. I learned I was the last person to see him. That he died. That he died this morning when I arrived late.
What was he like when you saw him?
To me, he seemed normal. Maybe he was coughing, but to me it seemed like a normal cough. But to me, he was normal. He wasn't in a situation where, I don't know, I saw him looking pale or I saw him dying or... No, normal.
Do we know how long after you saw him he passed away?
I was told a few minutes later. Not even hours, just minutes. Because I get to high school at 8 o'clock. 40, 50, yeah. And it's at, I believe it's at 9:30. Yeah, just a few minutes after, yeah.
If you had arrived 20 minutes later, you would have been with him when he died.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's crazy, huh?
And don't you notice anything when you're with him? He's totally...
No, for me, he sees me and puts my note in the notebook. He scolds me quickly and I go to class.
You were telling us that for a while, you were under some kind of investigation. They suspected you for a while. How long does that period last when they suspect you?
At that moment, it's a couple days after police custody, maybe 2 or 3. And at that moment, my high school already excludes me. My high school called to say I'm temporarily excluded and no longer have a school. And at that moment, I don't have a high school anymore.
So, you go back home? High school? Everyone thinks you killed the principal education advisor?
The high school.
The cops are investigating you.
And I didn't right then. It's a tough time because it's like I was trapped. Because I'm at home. It's like you live your life as usual every day, and suddenly it's put on pause.
Yeah.
You're home, you can't do anything now. Same activity, I was playing soccer at that time, I was even more determined to go.
Yeah.
You don't go to school anymore. You've got an investigation on your back. Mentally, you're not doing well.
Yeah, what are you telling yourself during that time? What are you telling yourself?
I closed myself off and shut myself in. Even my friends, I didn't pay attention to them anymore. It's not even their fault, it's my own. I just didn't want to pay attention to anyone. I stay in airplane mode pretty much all the time. Even on the PlayStation, I don't even play anymore. At that point, I fully isolated myself from my cause.
How were your parents about that during this period?
My parents, my mother, she cried a lot during that time. My father was very, very angry.
Angry at you or angry at...
No, not at me, but at my high school, especially since they expelled me. My father didn't want me going back. Even then, while searching for new high schools, we kept calling and asking about enrollment. And it was fine. That's how we enroll all students. They explained things to us, but when we explained the reason why, we weren't in the same high school as before, due to a murder investigation and all that, that already put them off. It means they canceled. They saw their registration and said, no way.
Yeah.
We're talking to at least 4 to 6 high schools. We got rejected.
How did your friends and family feel during the investigation? Did they think you were guilty?
No, my friends and family always trusted me.
Did anyone have doubts?
Maybe, I don't know, I don't think so. Well, I hope not. No, at least my close ones. They've always trusted me because they know I'm not like that. I'm not into business, murders, or anything like that. Even being accused of something. I'm not into all that legal stuff and everything. I'm not known, you know.
How did the cops think you killed him anyway?
They didn't tell me. They didn't necessarily tell me in a way like I killed him or anything, yeah.
Yeah.
And they did? No, they didn't talk to me. They didn't tell me that, but they did. I know I was the suspect. A lot of things happened. Some tests of, I don't know, not of. I think they explained to me about his saliva.
Yeah.
If I gave him something to eat.
Just before we get to, let's say, the final reveal, when you were finally cleared of that case, do you know if they questioned other people? Were there maybe other people involved in that murder? How did they actually conduct the investigation?
I know they questioned the teacher I had this morning.
Yeah.
That teacher. They questioned my closest friends from high school.
They questioned your buddies?
Yeah.
And what did they ask?
About what? How was I on a daily basis if I had any history with my principal education advisor? How was I what? They questioned my friends.
What did they say, your friends?
Well, that I was normal.
Yeah.
Well, that I was normal. That I was a good person. I wasn't necessarily a problematic person in that way.
One of your friends just saying something would have been enough.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Him, he's gloomy.
It would have gone further, I think.
It would have gone far, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think the teacher you saw in the hallway earlier also said, I saw him leave?
That's it too, of course. It's just that earlier I told you that straight up. The supervisor I ran into, well, he knows he saw me. That means he probably did. He likely testified, saying he saw him in the office that day. I think, I don't know, it's a chance. Maybe we wouldn't have crossed paths and he wouldn't even have thought it was me.
I'm really intrigued by something, and it's kind of... That's the conclusion, but how did they clear you? So what's kind of the conclusion to all this then?
The conclusion of all this is that it was after the autopsy. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, the word is autopsy.
They performed an autopsy on the principal education advisor's body.
Yeah, they detected that he had an unidentified illness.
Yeah.
And that he must have had, I think, a heart attack. I think.
So what happens when they finally realize it wasn't you?
How does it go at that moment? It's a day when I'm at home, and it's still the day when I shut myself in, looking for a high school and everything. And it's, what time was it? It was, I think, it must have been 8 or 9 o'clock.
In the morning or?
Yeah, in the morning. The police station, they call us. He says to us, "Hello, Mr. Kris." No, they call my father for me, saying that when I'm summoned urgently that I have to come to the police station immediately.
You say, oh man.
Me, I say to myself, they must have, I don't know. I tell myself I don't even have hope anymore at that point. I don't have hope anymore. I tell myself that's it. They decided they were going to take me to prison. My father and I go to the police station, and directly, I tell myself they'll handcuff me. When I arrive, I'm used to it, so I start turning around expecting it. No, stay calm. Come into the office. And in the office, we sit down, and right away, they tell us that... Right away, they apologize. We are sorry for the inconvenience. You are cleared. We are truly sorry for everything that happened. We conducted the investigation, and they saw that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And me at that moment.
Yeah, no kidding.
At that moment, I breathe. I'm like, no, what's happening isn't real. It's over. I leave crying right away. I cry. My dad is really angry. Angry face like this. He won't listen to anything. Me, I'm like, I make a movement like this. I'm really happy, telling myself it's finally over. Finally.
How long does your exchange with him last after you leave?
It lasts a long time, kind of. It lasts an hour and a half with all the emotions and everything. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. He asks how it will happen and what the procedures are going, even about my high school.
Yes, because they excluded you.
My father, he didn't want anything to do with the high school anymore. He didn't want me to go back there. I left one high school and went to another.
Okay, so you did end up changing after all?
Yes, I ended up changing.
How do you feel after this 90-minute meeting?
When I come out of this hour and a half meeting, I don't remember. I post a snap with a black screen and write, I don't know, I put a little phrase like, the truth will prevail. It's still incredible. I do a little thing like that. And yes, I'm really happy. I'm in tears I'm really happy. I tell my friends that that's it. I've been cleared, guys. they finally saw that it wasn't me.
The crazy story time.
Yeah, forget it.
What do your friends say then? Like, I knew it.
My friends were happy, and even the girls in my class were crying with joy, saying, yeah, finally. They were really emotional because it was free. Yeah, it was really free.
When you went to the new high school, did you keep on messing around or doing stuff like that?
It cooled me down. This experience really helped me mature.
Yeah.
Seriously, I was less late.
Yeah, it's clear, man.
I was less late.
Did it traumatize you or leave any after effects, or do you just laugh about it now?
Yes, I had a little period where I felt bad about that situation because during that time I closed myself off. I had a really hard time with it.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing anything with my life. I was eating less, I had lost weight. Yeah, during that time.
Yeah.
I really never want to go through that again.
Well, Kris, thank you so much. Man, your story is really crazy, just insane. That's just 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks of investigation waiting, thinking that justice, they're going to arrest you, you're going to jail. Man, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Certainly. Remember, if you've had a traumatic or shocking experience, you have an email here. You can send a brief summary of your story. For everyone else, you can use the screen to continue and watch more episodes. Kris, thank you.
Thank you.
It's the end of the video. It's goodbye.